Have you ever had a feeling? A sudden jolt? A whisper in the back of your mind that defies all logic and resists every attempt at rational explanation? It happens in a split second, often when you least expect it. You meet someone new, and something feels off. You cannot explain it. There is no evidence against them. They have done nothing wrong, said nothing inappropriate, and yet a quiet alarm bell is ringing deep within your chest, persistent and undeniable. Or perhaps you are standing at a precipice, a decision that could change the entire course of your life, a fork in the road that demands an answer now. The spreadsheets say yes. The pros and cons list points decisively to the safe choice, the one that minimizes risk and maximizes comfort. The data is clear, the projections are favorable, and everyone around you is nodding in agreement. But your heart is pulling you in a completely different direction, a path that seems illogical, uncertain, and fraught with danger. It feels irrational. It feels reckless. Most of us are taught from a very young age to ignore these signals. We are trained to worship logic above all else, to rely solely on hard data and empirical evidence, and to dismiss the gut feeling as primitive, emotional, or unscientific, a relic of our evolutionary past that has no place in the modern rational world. We are told to think, not to feel, to analyze, not to intuit. But what if I told you that this feeling, this gut instinct, is actually one of the most sophisticated and refined tools you possess, a gift honed by millions of years of evolution? What if the ancient philosophers, specifically the Stoics, understood this power better than any modern scientist or corporate strategist? The Stoics weren't emotionless robots, despite the common caricature. They were masters of perception, deeply attuned to the subtle interplay between the rational mind and the primal body. They believed that true wisdom, the kind that leads to a flourishing life, comes not from the domination of reason over emotion, but from the harmonious integration of both. They understood that the body speaks a language that the mind must learn to interpret. Today, we are going to dismantle the myth that intuition is a weakness or a liability. We are going to explore the sacred geometry of the gut-brain axis, dive deep into the psychology of the adaptive unconscious, and bridge the gap between cutting-edge modern neuroscience and the timeless, profound wisdom of ancient Stoic philosophy. We will learn the Stoic method of using your gut instinct not as a master to be blindly obeyed, nor as a slave to be suppressed, but as a powerful and trusted ally in the art of living well. Let us begin with the science, for the Stoics were not opposed to reason. They embraced it as the highest human faculty. Often, we view the brain as the sole organ of thought, the singular seat of consciousness and decision-making, but that is a severely limited and outdated view. You possess what neuroscientists now call a second brain. It is called the enteric nervous system, or ENS for short. It is a vast, mesh-like network of neurons that lines your entire gastrointestinal tract, from your esophagus all the way down to your rectum. This remarkable system contains over 100 million nerve cells, more than the spinal cord or the peripheral nervous system combined. This is not just the machinery of digestion, grinding food and absorbing nutrients. This is a complex, sophisticated, and highly autonomous communication hub that operates largely beneath the level of conscious awareness. It speaks directly to your cranial brain via the vagus nerve, a superhighway of information that runs like a thick cable from your skull down through your neck and into your abdomen. What is truly fascinating about this flow of traffic is the direction of communication. While your brain does send commands down to your gut, instructing it on how to function, research increasingly shows that about 90% of the signals travel in the opposite direction, upward, from the gut to the brain. This means your gut brain is constantly monitoring your internal environment, sampling the chemical composition of your body, detecting subtle shifts in hormones, tracking the presence of pathogens, and even sensing emotional states through the production of neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine. In fact, an astonishing 95% of your body's serotonin, the neurotransmitter most closely associated with mood, happiness, and well-being, is produced in your gut, not your head. So, when you have a gut feeling, you are not imagining things or indulging in fantasy. You are experiencing the direct result of an ancient, highly sophisticated biological algorithm that is processing billions of data points in the background, operating with a speed and efficiency that your conscious, deliberative mind simply cannot match. It is a primal warning system or a validation system that operates far faster than your conscious logic, alerting you to danger or opportunity before you have even formulated a coherent thought about the situation. Epictetus, the great Stoic teacher who rose from slavery to become one of the most influential philosophers in history, taught us a fundamental truth. We are not disturbed by things, but by the views we take of them. The gut instinct is the first view, the initial impression that arises before you have time to apply your reasoning and overlay your judgments. It is the raw, unfiltered data, the pure signal from your body to your mind. The Stoics knew that to live a life of wisdom and virtue, you must pay close attention to this raw data, not to be enslaved by it, not to act on it impulsively, but to understand it, to interpret it correctly, and to integrate it into your decision-making process. If you dismiss your gut out of hand, you are dismissing billions of years of evolutionary refinement and the accumulated wisdom of your own physiology. Here is where we reach the profound paradox that confuses and misleads many students of Stoicism, both novice and experienced alike. For centuries, Stoicism has been incorrectly summarized, caricatured, and reduced to a simplistic slogan: the suppression of emotion. We are told to be stoic with a lowercase is, to tough it out, to grit our teeth, to ignore our feelings entirely, and to act solely on cold, detached logic, as if we were machines rather than human beings. But this is a dangerous misinterpretation, a distortion that has done immense damage to the reputation of this profound philosophy. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and perhaps the most famous Stoic of all, wrote in his private journal, The Meditations, "Wipe out the imagination, stop the pulling of the strings, confine yourself to the present." Notice carefully what he did not say. He did not say, wipe out your feelings. He said, wipe out the imagination, the irrational embellishments, the anxious stories, the catastrophic predictions, and the vain fears that we attach to our feelings. The gut instinct is not the imagination. It is not the anxious chatter of the ego that fears rejection, failure, or death. The gut instinct is a physiological signal, a somatic marker that arises from the deep intelligence of your body. It is the rock that drops into the still water before the ripples of thought disturb the surface. The Stoic discipline is not about ignoring the rock, pretending it does not exist, or suppressing the ripples. It is about observing the rock with calm detachment, understanding its weight and significance, and allowing the ripples to settle without allowing them to swamp the ship of your soul. Consider the philosophy of the sage, the ideal person in Stoic thought who achieves perfect wisdom and lives in complete accordance with nature. How does the sage act in the face of strong emotions or powerful instincts? The sage does not ignore his nature or pretend to be immune to the human condition. He acknowledges the first movements of the soul, the initial shock, the initial flush of anger, the initial surge of fear, the initial tug of instinct. He feels them fully, for he is human. But he does not assent to them immediately, does not give them his automatic approval, does not allow them to dictate his actions without scrutiny. Here is your first and most essential lesson in using your gut instinct wisely: observation without assent. When you feel that tightness in your chest, that knot in your stomach, that sudden flush of heat or chill of dread, do not run away from it, do not suppress it, do not medicate it, do not distract yourself from it. Instead, turn toward it with the curiosity of a scientist. Say to yourself, calmly and deliberately, I am feeling a strong signal right now. I am experiencing an impulse. What is this? By doing this, you move the instinct from the darkness of your subconscious into the brilliant light of your conscious mind. You turn a phantom, a vague and threatening presence, into a piece of data, a neutral fact to be examined and evaluated. You reclaim your agency. Let us look at how this process works in practice, in the real world, among real people making high-stakes decisions. Think of the chess grandmaster who plays a blitz game, where each player has only a few minutes for the entire match. They have only seconds to make each move. They do not have time to calculate every possible branch of the game tree, to analyze every potential variation 10 moves deep. Yet, they move with incredible accuracy, often defeating opponents who have more time to think. How is this possible? How can such speed coexist with such precision? They are relying on a cognitive process known as chunking. Over years of relentless practice and study, they have stored thousands of patterns, configurations, and strategic motifs in their long-term memory. Their brain recognizes a specific configuration of pieces on the board and immediately knows the best move, the right response, the winning strategy. The logic happens so fast, so automatically that it feels like pure instinct, like magic. But it is actually the culmination of years of training and experience compressed into a single, instantaneous flash of insight. This is the adaptive unconscious, a term coined by the esteemed psychologist Timothy Wilson. It is the vast, powerful part of your mind that works tirelessly in the background, processing information at lightning speed without your conscious awareness, synthesizing past experiences, subtle cues, and environmental data into actionable judgments. The Stoics understood this process implicitly, even without the benefit of modern neuroscience. They called it Prohairesis, the faculty of choice, the ruling center of the soul, the ability to judge impressions and decide how to respond. Your gut instinct is an impression, a flash of understanding from your adaptive unconscious, a hypothesis about the nature of the situation you are facing. However, and this is the critical Stoic distinction, your gut instinct is not always right. It is not infallible. It is a hypothesis, a working theory, not a definitive conclusion. It is data to be considered, not a command to be obeyed blindly. Imagine a firefighter, a seasoned veteran with decades of experience. He enters a burning room, the air thick with smoke, the heat oppressive, the visibility near zero. His gut screams at him, "Get out now! Move!" He does not stop to look for the exit sign, does not pull out a calculator to assess the statistics, does not deliberate. He moves. He acts. This is a survival instinct, a deeply ingrained response that is often correct because it is based on highly refined, life-or-death data accumulated over years of dangerous work. But now imagine the same firefighter at a political rally, listening to a speaker he has never encountered before. His gut says, "That speaker is untrustworthy. I don't like him." Is this a refined instinct, born of wisdom and experience? Or is it a bias, a prejudice, a knee-jerk reaction based on past conditioning, social stereotypes, or the speaker's appearance or accent? This is the Rubicon of wisdom, the crucial dividing line. Your gut instinct is either the voice of nature, the universal reason that the Stoics called the logos, or it is the voice of habit, the accumulation of conditioning, trauma, societal pressure, and unexamined beliefs. How do you tell the difference? How do you distinguish the signal from the noise, the genuine intuition from the false alarm? Seneca, the great Roman Stoic, statesman and playwright, offers us a profound clue. We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. So you must audit the instinct. You must pause, step back, and examine it with the cold, clear eye of reason. You must not let it slip by unexamined. Marcus Aurelius was a master of the internal audit, the relentless examination of his own thoughts and impulses. His Meditations was not a polished book for public consumption. It was his private journal, his personal gymnasium for the soul, where he wrote to himself in order to refine his judgment, correct his errors, and strengthen his character. To use your gut instinct effectively, you must adopt this same journaling practice, this same commitment to self-examination. I call this the Prohairesis protocol. It is a simple but powerful three-step method designed to filter your instincts through the sieve of Stoic wisdom. Step 1. The impulse. This is the recognition phase, the moment of awakening. You notice the feeling, the tightness, the flutter, the pull. You stop what you are doing. You break the momentum of reactivity. You take a deep, conscious breath, anchoring yourself in the present moment. You declare to yourself with clarity and intention, "I am experiencing an impulse. I am feeling a strong signal." Step 2. The classification. Now you must ask yourself the hard questions, the probing inquiries that separate wisdom from delusion. This is where the Stoic logic shines. Ask, is this reaction within my control? The gut instinct is a reaction to an external event, a stimulus that has triggered a physiological response. The event itself, the external trigger, is not within your control. It has happened. The instinct is a physiological response to your perception of that event. That perception, that interpretation, that judgment is within your control, or at least it is subject to your review and revision. Ask, is this instinct aligned with virtue? For the Stoics, virtue is the only true good, the sole source of human flourishing. The 4 cardinal virtues are wisdom, justice, courage, and temperance. Does acting on this instinct promote these virtues? Or does it promote fear, greed, laziness, or injustice? If you feel a powerful gut instinct to cheat on a test, to cut a corner in your business, to betray a friend's trust, that impulse is strong, but it is clearly not aligned with justice. It is a seductive whisper, not a wise guide. Ask, is this memory or is it reality? This is perhaps the most revealing question of all. Often our gut feelings are echoes of past trauma, ghostly reverberations of old wounds. A past business failure, a bankruptcy, or a lost deal makes you irrationally afraid of a new and promising opportunity. A past heartbreak, a betrayal, or a painful rejection makes you suspicious of genuine love and intimacy. You must learn to recognize when your gut is stuck in the past, replaying old tapes that no longer serve you. As Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Step 3. The deliberate response. Now, having observed the instinct and classified it through the lens of reason and virtue, you decide. This is the moment of assent, the critical juncture where you exercise your power of choice. You have two options before you. First, assent to the instinct. If the instinct passes the audit, if it is rational, virtuous, grounded in the present reality, and aligned with your deepest values, you act on it decisively. You move with the speed and precision of the chess grandmaster, trusting the wisdom that has been vetted by reason. Second, withhold assent. If the instinct is revealed to be a bias, a fear, an irrational anxiety, or a relic of past trauma, you let it go. You do not act on it. You do not suppress it violently, for that would only create inner conflict. Instead, you acknowledge it with compassion and release it with intention. You say to yourself with authority and grace, "Thank you for the warning, but I am in control here. I am not a slave to this impulse." This is the Stoic superpower. It is not about being emotionless or robotic. It is about being the guardian of your own inner world, the gatekeeper of your soul. It is the ability to say no to a bad instinct just as forcefully and confidently as you say yes to a good one. Let us address the elephant in the room, the great obstacle that prevents many people from trusting their gut. Trusting your gut is terrifying. It often asks you to ignore the safe path, the well-lit road that everyone else is traveling. It asks you to step into the unknown, to embrace uncertainty, to risk failure and judgment. The Stoics were obsessed with the concept of Amor Fati, the love of fate, the embrace of whatever happens as necessary and beneficial. But loving fate does not mean being passive or fatalistic. It means accepting that you cannot control the ultimate outcome of your actions, but you can absolutely control the effort, the intention, and the character behind those actions. If your gut is telling you to change careers, to end a suffocating relationship, to start a bold new business venture, or to speak up against a profound injustice, these are high-stakes situations. The logical mind, the part of you that craves safety and comfort, will always choose the path of least resistance. It will prefer the known suffering, the familiar misery, to the unknown potential of a better life. Seneca wrote, "It is not because things are difficult that we do not dare. It is because we do not dare that they are difficult." Your gut instinct is the voice of daring. It is the part of you that knows, on a level deeper than conscious thought, that you are capable of more, that you are meant for more, that the status quo is a prison of your own making. When you undergo the Prohairesis protocol and determine that your instinct is pure, that it is not born of fear or delusion but of a deeper truth, you must have the courage to act. You must be willing to be the fool in the eyes of the crowd, to be misunderstood, to be ridiculed. Epictetus said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." Trusting your gut might make you look stupid, reckless, or naive to the spreadsheet-obsessed, risk-averse world that worships conventionality. But the true Stoic knows that the real failure is not failing in the attempt. The true failure is betraying your own nature, denying your own truth, living a life that is not authentically yours. Your gut instinct is your nature speaking. It is the voice of your body-mind complex, your whole integrated being, trying to navigate the chaos of existence with the wisdom of the ages. Let's bring this down to the ground, to the practical, everyday application in your daily life. How do you use the dichotomy of control to sharpen your gut instinct, to refine it, to make it more reliable? The dichotomy of control is the cornerstone of Stoic practice, the foundational principle from which all other teachings flow. It is simple but profound. Some things are up to you, within your power and agency, and some things are not. Your judgments, your choices, your actions, your will, these are up to you. Your health, your reputation, the economy, the weather, the actions of others, these are not up to you. Often our gut instincts are contaminated, distorted, and polluted by fear of things that are not up to us. I feel sick to my stomach about this business deal. I have a terrible feeling about this person I am dating. I am paralyzed with dread about this presentation. Ask yourself honestly and directly, what specifically am I afraid of? If the answer is, I am afraid they will reject me, or I am afraid I will lose my money, or I am afraid they will judge me harshly, you are responding to a future that does not exist. You are reacting to a phantom. Your gut is reacting to imagination, not to the present moment. To clean the signal from the noise, to purify the instinct from the dross of fear, you must anchor the instinct in the present moment, in the reality of what is happening now. Let us use the business deal example. The gut says no. It feels wrong somehow despite the glowing projections. You apply the audit. First, impulse. I feel tension. I feel resistance. Second, classification. Why? Because the numbers look shaky, or because I sense something off about the other party? Third, analysis. Is the data genuinely bad? Or am I just afraid of risk, afraid of losing my investment, afraid of looking foolish? Fourth, reframe. My only duty, my only real responsibility, is to do my due diligence thoroughly and honestly, to gather all the facts, to consult my advisors, and to make a decision based on the evidence available to me now. The outcome, whether the deal succeeds or fails, is not up to me. That is in the hands of fortune. If you do the due diligence, you gather the facts, you consult the experts, and the feeling of unease persists, that feeling is likely a true signal, a genuine intuition. The data might look good on paper, the projections might be impeccable, but your subconscious, your adaptive unconscious, has detected a red flag that has not yet surfaced in the formal presentation. It may be a subtle inconsistency in the other party's demeanor, a hidden risk in the contract, or simply a misalignment with your own values. This is where the Stoic says, with calm determination, I will walk away. Even if this deal makes millions for someone else, I cannot control that. I am guided by my nature, which tells me this is a trap, a path that is not for me. You use the dichotomy to separate the judgment, which is yours and yours alone, from the fear, which is just a phantom of the imagination. The judgment is sovereign. The fear is a passing cloud. How do you strengthen this connection, this vital link between body and mind, between instinct and reason? You cannot just think about your gut. You cannot merely analyze it intellectually. You have to feel it physically, viscerally. The connection between mind and body is sacred, and it must be cultivated with intention and discipline. The ritual of the breath. When you are stressed, anxious, or overwhelmed, your gut instinct is often drowned out by a flood of cortisol and adrenaline. The fight-or-flight response, designed for short-term survival, shuts down the higher cognitive functions of the prefrontal cortex, making it nearly impossible to access your deeper wisdom. To access your gut, you must first calm your nervous system. Practice diaphragmatic breathing, the kind of deep belly breathing that signals safety to your brain. Inhale deeply through your nose for a count of 4, feeling your abdomen expand. Hold your breath for a count of 4. Then, exhale slowly and completely through your mouth for a count of 6 or 8, feeling your shoulders drop and your jaw relax. This simple but powerful practice stimulates the vagus nerve, the superhighway between gut and brain, and signals to your entire body that the danger has passed, that you are safe. It is in this state of calm, this parasympathetic state of rest and digest, that the true gut instinct, the intuitive wisdom, the quiet inner knowing, rises to the surface, clear and unmistakable. The ritual of the journal. Before you go to sleep, review your day with honesty and compassion. This is the Stoic evening review, a practice advocated by both Seneca and Pythagoras. Ask yourself the tough questions. When did I ignore my gut today? What happened? What was the cost of that denial? When did I follow my gut today? What happened? What was the reward of that trust? Was I tricked by fear or guided by reason? Was I acting from virtue or from ego? The more you record this data, the more you calibrate the instrument of your intuition. Seneca said, He who does not know his destination cannot choose his path. Your gut instinct is your compass, the North Star of your inner life. The journal is your map, the record of your journey, the logbook of your soul. You must clean the compass and consult the map daily, for the terrain is always changing, and the path is always unfolding. Ultimately, the Stoic concept of the inner citadel is the perfect enduring metaphor for the gut instinct and its role in your life. The inner citadel is the fortress of your mind, the impenetrable stronghold of your ruling center. The walls are your judgments, your principles, your values. The gates are your discipline, your self-control, your ability to choose. Outside the walls, the chaos rages endlessly, the opinions of others, the whims of fortune, the seductions of pleasure, the threats of pain. Inside the fortress, however, it is calm. A fire burns in the hearth, steady and warm. A table stands with a map and a cup of water. This is your true home. Your gut instinct is the scout that stands on the ramparts, scanning the horizon with keen eyes that never sleep. It is looking out for danger and opportunity long before you are consciously aware of them. It sees the approaching storm before the city wakes up, before the warnings reach the ears of the citizens. The scout brings you a message. An army is coming, a storm is approaching, a chance is passing by. If you panic, if you lose your composure, you have lost the battle before it even begins. Your fortress is breached. If you ignore the scout, dismissing his message as alarmist or irrelevant, you will be overrun, caught unprepared, and left to suffer the consequences of your neglect. But if you listen to the scout with calm attention, if you assess the message with clear reason and then issue a calm, deliberate order, we will prepare the defenses, we will take the necessary precautions, but we will not be afraid. We will not surrender our peace of mind. You are exercising your true power as the ruler of the citadel. This is the profound and transformative lesson of Stoicism for the modern age. We live in an age of information overload, a relentless barrage of data, opinions, notifications, and noise. The logical mind, the conscious, deliberative faculty, often short-circuits under this immense pressure. Analysis paralysis sets in. We become frozen, unable to move, unable to decide, unable to act. But your gut instinct is a filtering system, a brilliant and efficient mechanism for cutting through the noise and getting to the essence of a situation. It is the ancient part of you, the deep intelligence that has been refined over millions of years, that knows how to survive and thrive in the midst of chaos. To use your gut instinct in the Stoic tradition is not to reject reason. It is to include the body, the whole organism, in the sacred act of reasoning. It is the synthesis, the integration, the harmonious union of mind, body, and spirit. Observe the impulse without judgment as a scientist observes a specimen. Audit the impulse against the principles of virtue and the dichotomy of control as a judge weighs the evidence. Act with the courage of your convictions as a warrior fights for what is right. Do not be a slave to your impulses, for that is chaos, a life tossed by every wind and tide. Do not be a slave to pure logic alone, for that is a prison, a life devoid of passion, intuition, and humanity. Be the master of the threshold between them. The universe is vast, indifferent, and often chaotic. The wind will blow against you. The tides will turn against you. The world will test you in ways you cannot anticipate. But your inner compass, the compass forged by billions of years of evolution and refined by the accumulated wisdom of the Stoics, is always there, always present, always reliable. It whispers, it tugs, it nudges. It does not shout, for it does not need to. Your task, your only true task, is to listen. Not with the frantic, grasping ear of a victim, desperate for answers, but with the calm, receptive attention of a philosopher king, secure in his own sovereignty. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Your gut is the doorway to that strength, the gateway to that power. Trust it, audit it, use it, and you will not just navigate the storms of life, you will master them. You will not just survive the chaos, you will thrive within it. You will not just endure your fate, you will love it. Thank you for watching. If you found value in this exploration of Stoicism and intuition, please like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear this message, and subscribe for more content on living a meaningful, resilient, and flourishing life. I'll see you in the next one.